about CE5 and extraterrestrial contact, download my new book, now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.
So the species who abducted me are called the tall whites, okay? Well, I mean, they're extremely tall, so I would say 8.5 feet tall, very skinny, very lanky, and extremely white, just like my shirt. And some of them have dangly pockets of hair, which is kind of funny, and then and it's white hair, and then they have tiny little beady red eyes.
Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Oh yeah, you know what I'm going to say. It's going to be a great podcast. Oh my God. Yeah, I can't wait till you guys hear this one. This is going to be a great one with Mr. Bill Spcer. Yeah. So anyway, welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. You can catch us on 26 to 28 platforms of audio. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Castbox, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music. We're all over the place. You can catch this audio podcast on any of your favorite platforms, okay? So if you got a favorite platform that you like to listen to on your podcast, look for Alien Strand Podcast, search for Alien Strand, and you'll find this program. Yeah, and this is my 205th episode. I know that a lot of other people have 1,000 already and stuff like that, but now, man, I do mine maybe once a week. The only reason is because, excuse me, what was that about? Anyway, the only reason I do that is because I like to, just give the information, as it comes in, it's special stuff, and I save the good stuff for you guys. Always save the good stuff for you guys, because that's what Alien Strand is about, right? It's about you and UFOs, right? So, it's always about the unknown. And, we always talk about UFOs, dimensions, extraterrestrials especially, and I'm always mentioning the extraterrestrial because I think it's very important that we pay attention to what a lot of these extraterrestrial races have to say, because a lot of times they do talk through us, right? And they talk through us through other people. Sometimes, you can astral project yourself, and this is what Mr. Bill Spcer is going to talk about tonight as you guys are listening in. And we recorded this yesterday, so I wanted to get this especially out to you guys, and I wanted you guys to understand that he's an author, as everything that he's experienced, just like everybody else that has been on this podcast. They're very important people. Even though if you're just a regular a blue collar, or just a regular working guy or a working gal, or just you have a professional career, it's okay to talk about it, right? And that's what we talk about on this podcast, right? So anyway, if you're new to Alien Strand, you're new to ufology, well, welcome to ufology. That's what it's about. We're here to teach you about ufology, extraterrestrials, UFO crafts, dimensions, everything that has to do with frequencies. You heard about my book here in the very beginning about CE5. We teach you about a lot of different things about the unknown of especially extraterrestrial interdimensional life. Yes, because it does exist. I do believe it does exist out there, and we've been watching that 3-Eye Atlas as well as it's coming through. And, people are freaking out. I don't know about you guys, but I've seen, I don't know how many different videos and pictures. Some of it looks like a saucer. Some of it looks like a muamua, like that long, elongated, rock in space. Some look like an actual UFO craft. I don't know what to believe anymore, because AI has gotten really, really good at making videos. But you can always tell AI because it's very contrasty. Since I'm a video guy, I can pretty much tell what's AI, what's not. And you'll see it. It looks like a lot of contrast. AI can't do nothing natural yet to where it looks natural. It's just, and just look at the movements of the people, watches, the sky, look at emblems, letters, things like that people are wearing. If it doesn't look familiar to you, then it's not going to be real, and you can pretty much tell. But, hey, they throw it out there anywhere for some clickbait, and we do understand that. But anyhow, if you guys, like I said, new to Alien Strand, go to our Patreon page. Go look for us on Patreon. There'll be a link on this podcast. After this show, you'll see it. It'll say Patreon link. Click on that. Join for free at Patreon or be a paid member. We really appreciate if you do. That helps go a long way with the podcast and helps me spread it out to even more people around different countries. It's not just the United States, man. I'm all over the place. I'm in India. I'm in Africa. I'm in any country you can think of. They're listening to Alien Strand, guaranteed. Ireland, Australia. It's because I see the stats where everybody's listening to it, And this show is to teach people, and I think people are starting to learn and catch on what this podcast is really about. So anyway, without me rambling for such a long time, let's go ahead and get this interview going, and I hope you guys really enjoy the content that is coming out of this. Remember, please like, subscribe, share our podcast, even on Facebook. I'll throw it on Alien Strand Facebook, or even on my personal page, and look for me there, Donald Ledesma. You'll see it there. Go check us out there, and you'll find this podcast there and everywhere else. But if you find it interesting, please share it. It goes a long way to helping other people out there to understand what extraterrestrial life is. All right. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this podcast started. I hope you enjoy the show. All right, guys, so welcome to the show, and, we were talking about the beginning of this opening monologue. We're going to start getting ready so that we can talk to Mr. Bill Spcer. So let me give you a little information about him. So he's a UAP researcher with quantum and UFO observation techniques, all right? This says Bill is a near-death experience, also with NDEs. We've talked about that in this podcast. Aviation enthusiast, amateur astronomer, and a UAP and UFO researcher who has been fascinated with the technique of capturing photos and videos of UFOs, UAP craft, and with digital cameras since 2009. So he's been doing this for quite a bit time. So he holds a private certificate in UAS drone pilot certificate, and a degree in design. His career indicates work in aircraft design as well as their certification, right? So he knows the aeronautics out there and how everything kind of works. Bill has been presented multiple times to groups and individuals in unique viewing with technique called quantum UFO observation technique. And it's used to see the fast movers, UAP, UFO craft. This technique, which is practiced using protocols, will allow the observer to see and interact with quantum consciousness and field and quantum with electrodynamics vacuum, which is QED. It says that surrounds us, right? So this is pretty interesting what he's been doing for quite some time. And it says, by using this viewing technique, Bill has assisted others with awakening the process so that they may understand the experiences by contact with non-human intelligence and related with paranormal contact as well with experiences. Okay, so, Bill's been doing this for quite a bit, some time, and now we got him to the show. So welcome to the show, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Donald, for having me on your show today. And I have enjoyed looking up in the sky for years, as you kind of mentioned there. I've been in aviation since my youth. I got my license early when I was 17, and that goes back to a time when I started to have my first experience of seeing something.
Wow.
Okay, and interest in UAPs and UFOs.
Right.
So I go back to my middle teens, having experience with other people actually
Mm-hmm.
seeing a UFO craft at night.
Wow.
It startled us all.
Where was this at? Where did this happen at?
This was in Kansas,
Okay.
up near McPherson, Kansas, on a rural highway at 10 o'clock at night, and we were coming back to go back to our homes. And after helping his sister move, and we were coming back, and as I said, there was a bright flash of light illuminated the whole inside of the car,
Mm-hmm.
and then a green and red light with white lights above it fell out of the sky right in front of the car.
Oh, wow.
He had to hit the brakes.
Oh, wow.
It blocked the roadway.
Oh,
And
wow.
then it sat there for maybe 60 seconds, a minute, because we had to come to a stop.
Right.
And then it darted off to the north.
Oh,
Just as
wow.
fast as it fell out of the sky, it left.
Wow.
So that was my first experience actually seeing something. We were probably about an eighth of a mile away from it, or headlights
That's close.
distance.
Yeah, that's close. That's
Yeah,
actually
it was pretty
close.
close.
Mhm.
And nobody the next day. That happened on a Saturday night. The next day, I went to my friend's house and started talking about this, and they didn't remember anything.
Wow.
The other friends, nobody remembered it. I was the only one. So I went out to the FAA Flight Service Center office there in Salina, Kansas, where I was actually living,
Mm-hmm.
and tried to report a missing aircraft maybe.
Yeah.
And I was told, of course, the answer was no. And then that began my search for answers. What is going on with all of this? And I thought back at the time, my aunt, who used to work at an Air Force base, lived in this here in Wichita, where I am now. And she came running to the house one evening after she got off of work and talked to my mother. I was 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
This is during the Vietnam, late 60s,
Wow.
and had a great story to tell about a pilot with missing time, flying F-105s.
Oh, wow.
And I sat there. She didn't tell me to leave or anything, so I'm sitting there. I was like, wait a minute. And I remember that story when I had actually seen something when I was 15, actually almost 16, and it really began my whole process of, well, what is going on? So I always had it in the back of my mind. And then as the years went on, nothing happened. I didn't see anything.
Uh-huh.
And as you mentioned, I had a near-death experience. I was a young adult and land surveyor during my younger years while I was going to design school, and I got stung by bumblebees
Oh, wow.
on a Friday the 13th. Can you
Ooh.
believe that?
Oh,
In the morning?
no. Oh, no.
Yeah, and they had to send me. I got over 200 bee stings, and
wow.
bumblebees don't lose their stingers.
No, they don't.
So I got stung for about a mile running down the road. They followed me,
Oh, wow.
and so I had a near-death experience, and that's when I had my first encounter with something else. I mean, this all sounds paranormal, but I had a higher awareness of myself out of body.
It's strange that you say that, because when people go into like near death experiences, I mean, you're not dead yet or anything like that, but sometimes you go into these high fevers, and then you almost go into this paralyzed state to where your mind is almost playing tricks on you, where it looks that way, because it happened to me as well because I'm allergic to penicillin, right? And my dad actually gave me a couple of pills when I was like 14. I was having a flu, and it just got so bad that the same thing happened to me almost, right? Almost like what you did, but with the bees, and,
right.
And it puts you in this different state of mind, right? So, and I noticed that a lot of people that go through these experiences after having that, they start seeing more UFOs.
Yeah, it changes your frequency. That's what it does is what I call, other people call it also, it opens your third eye.
Right.
Because now all of a sudden you're not locked to your physical body at all.
Right.
And I heard a voice, I was in darkness, and like I could feel something around me, and I heard a voice telepathically, and it said, this isn't your time yet. You have to go back. I mean, those are the words I heard in my head. And it was a male voice. It wasn't mine. It was somebody else's. It wasn't the doctor's, because I could kind of see them in the room.
Oh, wow.
I was aware of everything going on around. I made it to an ER,
wow,
emergency room.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, I kind of, for 6 months while I was still at school, design school, I kept running into people and having these conversations. It's like, have you guys ever heard of this? And then that's when I started having the ability to meditate and leave the body and become astral.
Wow. Wow.
And I started having very lucid astral visions or dreams. I'd always have precursors to events,
right,
or precognition in my life before they unfolded.
Right.
I knew where I was going to work. I knew I had a picture of who the people I was going to be working with, even at the different companies I've worked at. And in some cases, I even got problem solving information to problems that were even outside of my expertise area on aircraft. And I'd go tell the managers, well, if you go try this, it's going to work.
Wow.
Trust me.
Wow.
And sure enough, they'd go do it, and it worked.
Wow. So something opened
I get
up.
like a 3D. Yeah, I get a 3D image of what was going to happen.
Wow.
And that's when I started really, I went, 20 plus years, and all of a sudden, like you said, in 2009,
mm-hmm.
the final pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I had a series of 3 very lucid dreams, where I was taken aboard at night dreaming, but it's like I was out of body, and I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And these very tall beings that stood 8 foot tall, and one would lead me around usually, and then they'd start showing me things like on monitors on walls. Like, okay, so they'd show me what another being looks like, and I was like, I even laughed at them. But everything's telepathic.
Right, right.
So out of this, I became aware of that there's a higher conscious, that I was dealing with higher conscious beings.
Right.
I call them tall white robe figures.
Wow.
I mean, there were multiple, and I was in a craft that was multi-story, 6 feet or 6. I guess I stood 6 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing here looking up into like an atrium
mm-hmm.
of different decks that went 6 levels above me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And there was other humans with another, looked like an assigned being walking with them or moving with them. And sure enough, a person here where I live that I've met, she remembers seeing me on board the craft.
Oh, wow.
And this is like a month. This happened in May of 2009.
Mm-hmm.
And over about 2 months, these dreams happened. And just by coincidence, another friend of mine here in town who had a near death, he told me I needed to talk to this lady because she remembers seeing me because he had told her about me.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, what? So I went and visited, and sure enough, she could finish my sentence on what and describe this craft. A very large multi-story.
So you were all of you guys were connected at that point. So
exactly,
you were all connected together.
Yes, we're all connected through our consciousness,
right?
And that goes back to that quantum conscious field,
right.
I call it,
mm-hmm.
Which it fits perfectly with quantum mechanics, physics, and I use the famous light slit experiment. Well, is light, is it a wave or a particle? Well, it only is if a human knows that it goes back to a particle if the human is aware of the switch being turned on for the light.
Right. I mean, because we've talked
Isn't
about
that interesting?
sometimes we talk about quantum entanglement, which is something a little different, but it's almost the same though, because when something's spinning here, it could be spinning millions of miles away at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So that's the connection that it has, right? So that's the
correct. You're correct. Mm-hmm. It's called non-locality.
Mm-hmm.
That's the term they use. You can have a particle 1 inch apart, or 10 miles apart, or thousands of miles apart,
right,
or to infinity,
right,
and then particle B, and they'll both look and operate the same way.
So
they're connected.
Do you think that the travel that you did out of body, in other words, you and those 3 other people, or 4, let's just say, that you guys are almost in the same timeline in a sense, but like all connected quantumly, like you're saying, but you all are seeing the same thing in mentally. You know what I mean? It almost looks like physical form, but you're not there physically in a sense, but then you kind of are. You know, so that's
correct.
That's the strangeness of that.
Yeah. Well, what you do? I've done this in other dreams, but I can also astrally, remote view.
Right.
That was one of the other things that I can do, and it's like that, where you project what image of your astral body, they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Other people have called it. But when I do that, I actually project the image of what I think I look like in the mirror.
Oh, okay.
My 3D body.
Yeah.
That's what I do when I go out of body in remote view. And I've taken classes on this with some people in Kansas City area. And out of the 10 things that we were challenged with, I got 8 of them right.
Wow.
And in fact, yeah, but I've actually, been able to move out of body. And if I look at some of the photos I have of my UFO sightings that I actually saw with my own eyes, not just recorded with a camera, but I can see this. But the whole technique is called quantum UFO observation technique. That's what I've given it. And I was shown this in a series of, on the third encounter, I was shown on this projection screen basically what this was all about and how to do this. And they kept showing me like a filter. I was like, what do you mean a filter? The light. And I said, okay. And sure enough, the next morning I woke up, went to work, and I just happened to have been witnessing some testing and had gone back outside with about 5 other people, technicians and another engineer. And we both, me and the engineer, looked to the north, and there was this bright light. I was like, what's going on? And it wasn't an airplane. It was just sitting there in the north sky, and it's in May. It was a beautiful May, day.
Right.
No other aircrafts flying around where we're at. And so I told the guy, I said, well, I can see him though. With my sunglasses on. I had polarized sunglasses on, really good ones. And I handed them to him, and he says, well, yeah, there it is. What is that? It looked like a big landing light.
Wow.
In the daytime. Yeah, it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's it.
So that convinced me there had to have been something to this, and so I put the digital camera and I put the polarized lens, or a shot through the polarized lens of the sunglasses.
Right.
And I got a photograph. You take a picture normal with the camera.
Right.
Nothing shows that.
Right.
You polarize it. And after I started talking about this to my friend, and I said, well, I got to look into polarization. Well, there's 3 types, and the one that works is called linear polarization. That's what all your little sunglasses that you can go buy, they're polarized, are mostly that. But I've actually gotten really good camera quality.
It's strange that you say that, because I had this friend. He's my best friend. Anyway, last year or 2 years ago, we were out working, right? And he says, hey, Don, do you see that? And I was like, no. What are you looking at? And he goes, look right there up in the sky. Don't you see those little things? Those look like spheres or something going by. And I was like, It's like, are you? I was thinking, I was like, I can't see them, and I wear regular glasses that tint or whatever, but they're not polarized, right?
Right.
And then he says,
Right.
and he goes, dude, put these glasses on, right? So I was like, okay. So I put the glasses on, and then I could see them, right? And,
Yes.
and I go,
Yep.
are your glasses like? He goes, I specially bought these glasses because I wanted them really polarized. And he goes, when you take them off, you can't see it, but when you put them on, there they are. So
Well, this is a proof of it.
Right.
You just proved it.
yes, yes, yes,
Yes. What you were seeing, and he was seeing, are what we call fast movers.
right. Wow.
That's the term we gave them because they move quickly. They'll appear and then disappear.
Well, let's
Quickly.
let's hold that thought real quick, and we're going to take a real quick
Yes.
break, and we'll be back
All right.
after this message.
Alien Strand Podcast.
Welcome back to the show. I hope everybody's enjoying this amazing conversation with Bill. And you know, we were talking about how these UFOs, what he calls fast movers. Now, explain that to us a little bit.
Okay. The term fast movers, I happen to have gotten into a conversation with a person in Kansas City, and she is a lot like me. She's very psychic, and she's been seeing things, you know, she calls it with her third eye for years,
Right.
since she was a child. And she called it that as a small child. And so when we got together and started discussing this,
Right.
it made sense that, oh, yeah, they moved, because I have videos of this. I had a video camera I started with, and I would look up in the sky. I've got whole videos of these little, they're usually white little orbs, but other times bigger ships and things that look, they're not man-made, but they look like they're fairly technically made,
Right.
to serve a purpose. I recorded all of that, and they move extremely fast. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the deal. I've actually caught these looking, even with my house. I have a 2-story home.
Mm-hmm.
I even have them appearing between me and the house. They're very small. They'll show up. They're interdimensional.
Right.
And others have used that term. They're just outside our dimension.
So they're not like
So
orbs. They're not like orbs, right? Like, or something, or it's only something you're catching on camera.
Yeah, I can see them if I have my glasses on and
Right.
I'm looking just right, and I put out a mental thought. In the technique itself, I can explain that quickly here. What I do is, I've learned to do this, is that I meditate or just take 5 minutes, and I know where I'm going to go stand outside. I already figured that out, usually. But I put out it's like a picture in my mind of where I'm going to focus in the sky.
Right.
And I just put out a pleasant thought. I said, show yourselves. Now, in the beginning, I was a little fearful because it was like, wait a minute, this can't be happening. But since I had the near-death experience, I figured, well, anything can be happening. And having seen a craft during my middle teen years, I said anything's possible. So what I did is I put out kind of a mental image of where I'm going to look in the sky. And then I go out and I set up. I use my cell phone now, and I popped out a lens out of one of my polarized, the sunglasses.
Right.
And it fits right over. They're easy to, I've shown this to several people. I've used 3 or 4 different cell phone cameras. And sure enough, you'll get something. And I've even let my neighbors and other people that I know, good friends, they've done it. Where I've worked in the past, go out at lunch. Oh, let's do that. And we'll look up in the sky and things start appearing.
Wow. And
this goes back to I call it mental imagery or visual thought projections. It's more of a visual thought projection. It's like opening your third eye. Now, being kind of an engineer, I was always kind of gifted with that. Since I was a kid, actually, I could visualize things and go build it. But what this does is this, like we had discussed earlier, this puts out a thought into its entanglement. It throws out there. So there's, I believe, multiple dimensions. Okay. But every time I've done this with the technique in recent times, I get a precognition now. I don't have to force it. A lot of times I'll go, maybe a month and not go do any observation. And all of a sudden I get a download of energy from my head, shoulders, right down into the floor through my body. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I better go outside. And I go get the camera. And I just kind of point in 2 or 3 different places in the sky, and I can guarantee you something's going to show up if it's a clear day.
Let me ask you this question. Since you're right there. So after you're doing this technique, and then you get what you're getting, and then you get it. You said sort of like a download of some sort. After all this process takes place, and it let's just say you're done. Are you like exhausted afterwards? Do you feel like exhausted, like you just put your body or your energy into something that kind of it's like a little too much sometimes? Do you ever get that kind of exhaustion?
I did in the beginning when I was awakening, I call it, in 2009 and 2010. I would stay outside and stay facing north, usually, to stay out of the sun, because it was, this started in May, and then I went through the winter months, and still it got cold here, but I'd go out. I would get kind of that way, but I was so excited once I got back into the house and downloaded the images and project them on the monitor. I was like, well, look at all of this, and then I would have, a few friends would come over. I'd invite people, and they were like, oh, this is interesting. And some of the examples in the videos that I was getting, I actually have objects come through what I call wormholes.
Right.
An opening it looks like a donut, okay? Kind of a dark gray donut shape will open up, and then 2 craft will push through it and move through the video just a little bit and then disappear.
Wow.
I have things like this. Now after that, you get really excited. It's like, wait a minute, this shows to me that there's holes that you can punch through the fabric of space-time.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and I just think that everything around us it's almost like a 3-dimensional ball, or some sort of a ball, which each section of it has millions of pinpoints, right? In each section, right? And it's like you can connect to that certain pinpoint that's in the sky or whatever it is. and focus on that, and that's where it'll show up, or that's where it'll be.
Correct.
So, and I always talk about the natives, right? Because the natives always had it correct the whole time. They're like, they're with Mother Earth. They're in tune with everything. They're in tune with the sky. They're in tune with everything, right? So the energies, everything that they have was in tune to where they just couldn't explain it any other way than the planet. Just talking about the planet in that sense, without
right.
So
right.
I just feel that that's how sometimes we're all connected, or like you're connected that way, to where you can actually, when you talk about punching the hole in the sky, and you see these two crafts flowing through, that this is the way that it's done, to where you're able to focus on that area and use your those senses that you got, not just from the near-death experience, but just from what you've experienced with the actual contact with the extraterrestrials or the craft.
Right. And these beings, they have the ability also to do what I do in reverse, because when I astrally remote view and I go somewhere else, they're doing the same thing here. And there's a astronomer. He was an astrophysicist, actually, at Harvard. He's retired now, Dr. Shields.
Right.
And he and I spoke in 2010, several, up to 3 hours. We had 3 hours worth of conversations. And we came to a term called quantum hologram. Now, Dr. Edgar Mitchell, I believe, actually came up with that, but he and Dr. Mitchell were very good friends. And a lot of these are holograms. They're three-dimensional projections. And I told him, I said, well, I can astrally project myself and remote view, and I go somewhere else. I mean, I'm like physically there, but,
right.
But nobody can see me or touch me usually. But I'll be quite honest, I have projected myself into craft, and I guess we can talk about that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I projected myself into three types of craft so far. The first was an orb. I followed it around in the sky. I got home from work one day. It was a really clear day, 5 o'clock in the evening, and looked to the northwest. And I started seeing this little orb following around in the sky. Now, before this, I was having the things that people talk about with the paranormal.
Right.
Electrical things going crazy. My car, I had a little, small vehicle, and these beings, as I was waking up, something tried to get me to stop waking up in 2009.
Oh, wow.
And I had a electrical event that basically blew the entire ground wire on my starter system in my car.
Oh, wow.
Just blew the whole thing.
Wow.
It was like an EMP strike.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the best example. They also tried to get rid of 3 of my computers and get rid of the hard drives.
Really?
I kept backing them up. I backed everything up to DVD, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And my videos were then shot onto mini DVDs, the small ones.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else, I always backed it up to DVD.
Right.
They can't mess with DVDs. Guess what they are? They're holograms.
Yeah, holograms, yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
As long as the plastic stays good, they can't touch the data or
Right.
do anything with it. This was going on during 2009, 2010. And about the time I talked to Rudy, Dr. Shields, then I told him, I said, I'm going to go out of body and I'm going to follow one of these things and see if I can remote view. And he says, well, go for it. So I came home and did that, stood there, followed it in the camera, and kept the camera going and shot video and stills. While I'm still remote viewing, I go inside. I saw a 4-foot-tall gray. He's standing in front of a panel, and when you're looking out of the orb, it's like being in an aircraft, but there's no wings.
No wings.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I knew what this looked like. I was like, wait a minute, I'm at about 5,000 feet. I can look 360. I can look up, down. It looks like I'm in an airplane with no floor.
Right.
We're just standing there, but I'm in my astral body. I pushed it out of the way. I figured out what he was doing with his hands, what his mind was doing.
Right.
And I I gave the most negative thing that I was afraid of, and that was doing spins in an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
I hated doing that, but I knew how to do it. But it put a lot of fear. You had to be really good at what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I projected that we were in a spin, out of control. Then I popped out of the situation, back into my body, and I'm standing there taking stills of this at that point. This thing's breaking up over my house. And 2 other craft came in and assisted it.
Wow.
After that, I've been left alone. That was in 2010.
Wow. So why do you think they were trying to do that? Why do you think they were trying to erase what you knew?
Well, there's 2 types of beings that don't want people to wake up. That's the first ones. They don't care about humanity, in my opinion, or anyone who's having this human experience. They want to keep you ignorant of what's going on. And they didn't want me talking to people. And this is when I was talking to my friend, and that's when I also had the experience of talking to this other woman here in Wichita that remember seeing me on the craft, the big craft.
Right.
And I was about ready to go public, and I started talking to some small groups in Kansas City, and they must not have liked me doing that. So after that, that's when I said, okay, I got to figure out what. Don't ask me why, but I had one of those weird dreams and kind of shown, okay, you're going to see one of these. And I was shown that on a screen, and sure enough, that's what was in the orb.
Oh, wow.
4 foot tall, gray, little gray.
Wow.
And I'm 6 foot tall almost. So, there's a big size difference. And I physically pushed it out of the way. It's my astral body.
Did it notice that you were there?
It didn't have time. I walked up right behind it and did it. It was too busy piloting the orb, the craft it was in.
So you kind of gave it that. Have you ever been sitting there like at your desk or anything like that, and you almost feel like somebody tapped your shoulder? So you kind of snuck up behind it then, and you did that almost.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So probably freaked it out.
Yeah. I probably freaked it out. And if I didn't have the photographs when I projected myself back in immediately,
right,
I wouldn't believe any of it. But I've got the photos of it with 2 other craft coming as it made it looked like a mini comet over the house at 5 o'clock in the evening.
Wow.
And no clouds in the sky.
Well,
and I'm standing in the shade of my house because I have a 2-story, and the sun was blocked. But this, I'll never forget that afternoon.
Wow,
and after that, all the negative went away.
Wow.
And I went public and started talking to people about it, and created my YouTube channel and everything at that point.
Wow. Well, let's take another break, and we'll be back here in just a minute.
Light bends and breaks a thread that shakes the tether loosens tight. I'm slipping out through cracks of doubt. Through the veil I'm flying. Stars are screaming, crying. All the skies
Strand Podcast.
colors bleed where time once froze.
to the show. I hope everybody's enjoying this amazing conversation and content. We're, as we talk about, his just sneaking behind these little extraterrestrials, and they weren't pretty friendly or about that. But as we were talking, Bill, it was if I was in that situation, right, where you were at, where you were actually watching the orb and watching the craft, and then you jump into that craft, and then you jump out after you tell it to do this spin, right, and then you're watching it. So it's like that would have probably been an amazing moment just to be and witness and do. In other words, because you did all three, you saw it, you were in it, you made it do something, and you came back and you recorded it. So almost four things, right?
Yeah. Yes, and I'm getting a download of energy right now that confirms the event. I mean, literally right now, I've got the energy flow right down into me right now, and that's a yes from my higher. I call them guides or my higher self.
Wow. Yeah.
It confirmed at the time that this was all real. I was having a real experience, and we're all more than what we see in the three-dimensional space that we exist in right here. And these beings, as I said, there's other beings that I've looked inside their craft. I've remote viewed.
Right.
There's a group that we all know. They go by the words the Palladians.
Right.
I've encountered 4 of them. Their craft showed up right over my house several times, and I've also have them on night vision.
Have you ever heard
one of the same thing?
Have you ever heard of Joseph McMonagle, the retired USA chief warrant officer? He was famous for remote viewing. He was the one that saw Mars. They made him sit there and they just gave him a place, coordinates. They didn't tell him where he was going. He thought he was on Earth, and he was seeing these different things, and he was seeing like caves, and he was seeing like these giants and bodies, but he could feel what they were saying. It's like they were in a how do you say it, like a state of where they were like asleep, right? And he was able to communicate, and they were telling him, what happened to them on Mars and things like that, right? And then when he came back, when they brought him back, whatever his mind, they finally told him, okay, what you were looking at, this is the area you were looking at, and he thought it was Earth, somewhere on Earth, but they said, no, you're looking at Mars, because he was getting like 1 out of 8. 1 out of 9. I mean, I'm not 1. He was getting 8 out of 8, or sometimes 10 out of 10. Everything he was remote viewing, right? I had another podcast called Awakening Frequency Podcast, and we talked about him, right? But it's like he never talked about UFOs or anything like that. But I don't know. I mean, he had that same kind of connection like what you have in a sense by remote viewing, and he showed people how to do it too. But he was like on point. He was on point.
Yeah, I've actually heard of him and his experience. I've seen that several times. I've gone back and reviewed it. There's numerous places that's been shown.
Right.
And when you're there, it's like you're there. And as I said, I've had 4 Palladians. Now, I don't do that necessarily in real time. I'll come back and remote view later, and I will look at the photograph and close my eyes and do what I go through. And all of a sudden, I'm there in that space with them. That's what it's like. And I've seen the 4, and there's always this brilliant white light around when you get into the craft. There's this white light, and I actually have a photograph from 2009 that shows one of the crafts, and then there's a column of white light projected above it. And when I was in that large craft in my dream, on the 3rd dream, I actually got to see where it comes out of the floor, because they all run on the same kind of a thing for the energy in this quantum conscious field.
Right.
And the QED interface, and there in the lowest deck, there's this 9-foot square black cube that's broken into small. Inside, it looks like what they call Merkabah, They're like pyramids that are all interconnected. If you put it all together three-dimensionally,
Right.
it's called a Merkaba.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what focuses all this energy, this conscious energy. And it looks like white light when it's projected out up through the floor. And it went to the top of the ceiling and illuminated everything from there. That's where most of the light came from. And I got to touch it, and there was even a guardrail around it through the floor. And I even asked to touch it, and guess what? Me and this big 8-foot tall being in a white robe, it looked like, with energy around it, white light, we're in a wormhole. We're going somewhere. And if I hadn't have panicked and had fear, once I sensed fear, that does everything. It stops everything.
Wow.
That's the thing that I've learned. That emotion of fear will stop everything. So I learned that really quick.
Do you feel that
you can't have fear?
Do you feel that I know there's different UFOs, different crafts, maybe thousands of different species out there of extraterrestrials, because we talk about them all the time. Now, when we heard the stories of Bob Lazar, right, and he talked about unitanium, which was element 115, right, and he talked about what was actually powering these crafts, right, and then he saw it in a solid state of form, right, or how it is, like it looks like metal, whatever, unpolished metal. But he says that this reactor was the one that was powering this whole ship, right? That makes it levitate, go whatever direction it wants to, everything like that. And it was just like a touch of a hand, that, of course, from these little small beings that were in there now. And then we're starting to understand how that sort of ship is and how it's made and how it's actually powered and everything like that. Now, the ones you're talking about is like a totally different kind of ship, because I've heard different ways of people talking about these ships, how some of them are just made by material that can actually manifest. In other words, they don't build these ships by hand or by factory, anything like that. They just it's just
it was alive.
It's put yes, every piece of this craft is put together in a sense to where just with their minds or whatever. Everything out of from space and time kind of makes it, and it builds as it go. And this is why it changes form sometimes, or it can do whatever it wants to.
Correct.
Or make it look like you're in a huge mothership as well, right? Because it can do anything.
Exactly. And everything that I see usually around me is in black and white, except for the beings.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Wow.
A lot of the rooms and stuff are this white wall, and then if you go through a doorway or something, there will be something there that just looks like it's black, and you go through it, and then it lights up into the next room as you're walking or moving through the space.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting. I've gotten into some where I'm actually looking through like a window outside into space.
Wow. So that's like a more of a physical sort of craft.
Correct.
Okay. And
the last one that I did a remote viewing on was I actually caught photos in 2010 at night in front of my house after I got the precognition to go outdoors. I didn't even look up in the sky. I just took pictures around the front of the house looking back. And I have a head projecting through. Just the head and maybe the upper, shoulder level. And I kept the picture for years. And I finally went back and I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this. So I turned the head to where it was 90 degrees, sitting like on shoulders instead of looking sideways, kind of, about 15 degrees off center. And I turned it and I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this. And I had remote viewed inside a craft, and a being that's my height, 6 foot, wearing a gray uniform, turns around and looks at me, gives me a funny look, and then walks off to my left. And it had the same kind of head that I have a picture of. And then, lo and behold, behind it was this 8 foot tall, standing, white-robed being that was in a feminine voice, not a male voice, a feminine voice, said, "You're not supposed to be here."
Oh, wow.
Now, this was when I finally put out the thing to the whole world. I'm going to go on board. I'm going to find out how all this stuff really works. I want all my answers to all my questions, like an engineer.
Wow.
And it looked at me and gave me that telepathic message, and I immediately said, no, I'm here to find out everything about you and how this operates. And I started walking down a corridor.
Wow.
I walked down a corridor. It follows me. It's on my right shoulder, following me. And I looked around and everything and touched things. And then I said, okay, I've seen enough. And I popped back into my body.
Wow.
That was interesting that I was told I was not supposed to be there.
It's kind of strange how you said that, you know, I want everybody to know what I'm seeing, or I want everybody to know this and know that I'm experiencing this, right? And you had told them, because my other guest that I had on, like probably about 3 months ago, Mr. John Dickinson, he said the same thing. He said the exact same thing that you just told me right now. And he says, I want the world to know I'm not crazy. I didn't, you know, he actually walked into the craft, you know, in physical form while he was 17 years old. Right. And he experienced something that was just, he couldn't understand. And yet when he left from there, and he was still in connection with one of the Greys, they were still telling him, you know, he was still telling him, I want to tell the world this, you know, I just don't know how without sounding crazy. Right. So,
yep.
And that's, and I know for you, because you're in a professional level, a professional environment as well. And to talk about this is a little different or difficult sometimes, but when you see it in a different plane, like you astral project, and, you know, people have a hard time understanding how that works, but I know that works.
Yeah, that's the hard part, is, and the best way I can explain it to somebody, and the classes I've taken for remote viewing did a good job on it, is it's kind of like you're almost asleep,
right.
You know, that in-between stage. But what I remember is the fact I remember when I had my near death, what it felt like when I left my body.
Wow.
And I can do that. I still remember very vividly what it felt like to basically have consciousness leave my body. And my body's okay.
Right.
The last time this happened was a year ago, so it was in 2024 on Labor Day weekend. I had my last remote viewing in an astral dream, I call it, or lucid dream, where I saw the door closing. I'd been wherever I was at, and I closed the door, and I'm coming back. I can see Earth below me, and I'm coming back to my body in my bed. I couldn't get back in my body.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be back after this message.
I've sown. Aliens calling through the void. My soul a beacon, my soul destroyed.
Alien Strand Podcast.
right, welcome back to the show. Hope you guys are enjoying this amazing conversation with Bill. Let's get back to it here. Wow.
And my wife heard me wrestling or making noises like what, and if she hadn't have tried to wake me up, I would have been left stuck on the other side. I'm afraid.
Wow, that's scary. That's scary.
That's how powerful this is. But that's when I started my whole thing about something big is coming. Okay, I was told, get ready, a change is coming soon to humanity. That was the message I got. And the door, this big golden door with the light and everything, like I've seen in the past, with this column of white light around it, glowing, and I'm coming down a shaft of white light. It's like a stairway.
Wow.
Or a ramp. And I'm like, wait a minute, and I can still vividly see this in my mind's eye right now.
Right. Wow.
Perfectly preserved, and what I was feeling and the message I was given.
Well, and I talk about that. I talk about that too. I talk about that too, because it's like people, always remember things that affected them, whether it's post-traumatic stress or whether it's a happy moment or a sad moment or something major that happened in their life. They always remember that, right? And these kind of memories always stay with you because they have a close connection with you to where it impacted you somehow, right? So just like you're saying, all these things impacted you in a sense to awaken your mind, awaken everything, and start telling everybody to wake up as well, right? Because something is coming. Now, I got this question for you. I was thinking about it as you were talking. Now, I've talked about ancient civilizations from the past, and I'm more than sure, man, that Earth has been kind of recycled over and over with ancient civilizations. In other words, not 2,000, not 3,000. I'm talking 10, 50, 100,000 maybe years old, right? And so for and we've talked about the pyramids before. I have, and I've talked about that. Those things were already there long before. And then they did that LiDAR deal, right? Where they saw these columns underneath, right? Right.
So, they've done that recently.
And how is it that these people, and I'm going to connect this with you. How is it that these people back then, I'm not going to say it was the Egyptians. I'm going to say somebody else did this a long time ago, where they were so in tune and connected to where precise placement of these pyramids with Orion's belt, the mathematics were right on point, right? And then of course these columns that are supposedly down under the main pyramid, right? And then they got everything right. Just the mathematical structure of this whole pyramid area, it looks like a microchip almost in a sense, but it's calculated, right? It's so calculated that, do you think that this possible ancient civilization that was there way before us, way before anybody else, that they had this sort of remote viewing, or they were able to connect with these extraterrestrials or this other plane of dimension to where they got these ideas to where they hit it right on the money?
Yeah, I'm a believer now that after finding out about that and studying it as you have, I believe that the pyramids were actually not brought here, but designed and laid out from beings that used to live on Mars.
Okay, yeah.
And they had the capability for interstellar travel.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were visited by other beings from higher conscious levels, and we're kind of their descendants, so to speak. Now, why we seem to have lost our ability to connect like this, that kind of gets into, well, where were we at before we came here to planet Earth?
Yeah.
Our souls,
and then
our spirit, our consciousness. You have to go back to that aspect of it and answer that question. Well, is this a place to learn? That's what I'm thinking it is. It's like a school,
right,
on how to deal with your emotions and experience emotions. sad. That's the love, hate, fear thing.
I mean, and
so it kind of gets tied to that.
We've had catastrophic events too, like the Younger Dryas, and then way before that as well, right? And then who's to say there wasn't this kind of meteor hits or whatever it was that took maybe that civilization out long ago, or they just left the planet, and it got buried, after time. With just the debris, dust, and things that were, how the Earth was growing.
It's like the remote viewer you talked about that remote viewed Mars.
Right.
There's things that are still there. I mean, you can look at some of those photographs that were taken, from the early Mariner programs. Well, it lines up. It looks almost like the pyramids in Giza.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're laid out the same way. And, there's a lot of things that I've seen some of the photographs from the rovers, and there's a few things that have shown up that I've actually were on the websites. You could download it. It looks exactly like the things I've seen.
Wow.
Like over the next hill, just above the hill line, or mountain or whatever on the surface. Yeah, it looks exactly like. In fact, I'm looking at a picture now.
Wow.
And one of the things that looks almost exactly like what they had. And I was like, guys, you can't fool everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been catastrophic events, and that was the last of the things that I was shown, like on a monitor.
Right.
In one of the lucid dreams in 2009, is that there would be earthquakes and everything would start to change. You remember the earthquake in the whole thing? It was in Fukushima.
Yeah, in Japan. Mm-hmm.
The 8.0 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This all happens like within 6 months of that, and I got the download of energy. And even here, when the earthquakes were happening in Oklahoma and Kansas,
right,
I knew 30 minutes before they were going to start shaking the house.
Wow.
I predicted it. I mean, I told people, I said, get ready. There's a 5.6 or, it's going to happen.
Right. Wow.
I had the energy download. I could feel it before it happened.
Wow.
And one time I was in Arkansas, and I had to call back here to the house, and I said, well, get ready because there's an earthquake coming.
Wow.
So
and you know what?
This is how crazy it is.
But that's how in tune that you are. That's what it is. You're like totally in tune with what they're giving you or what they're telling you that's coming, right? And I mean,
right.
People, you probably back in the Middle Ages, whatever would call us, sorcerers or whatever, witches or whatever, but it really wasn't. It was more like you're more in tune with everything else, maybe because something has happened to you, or like I said, near death, or you're just experiencing these interdimensional beings that are coming through to you, and that's the strangeness. How we're all. Every human being, because we have the DNA strand, we all have it, right? So everybody is able to do what you can do. In other words, like astrally project, things like that. But it's like you have to have that awakening moment in order for it to do it, properly.
Well, some people have their awakening a moment. I've done some presentations, and I spoke in Independence, Missouri. Coming up on 2 years ago, and I talked to, there's about 15 people that attended, and we were at a public library, and a friend of mine, she asked me if I'd come and do this, so I gave a presentation, and I had to talk about my near death, and at the discussion point for people, I said, well, has there anyone in this room had that? And of course, about 4 people raised their hand, and they were all seeing these UFOs. Well, after the presentation, we went out on those steps, and it was about 4:00 in the afternoon. It was in November, and a good view to the west. And I said, okay, everyone, just if you have a cell phone, take it out. I had my equipment, with my little polarized lens filter.
Right.
And I said, if anyone needs one, I've got a couple more. So people took pictures. I didn't even take my phone out. And the lady standing next to me, something started to appear.
Oh, wow.
She's recording.
Yeah.
And sure enough, and I had to take over and finished, And then I used my own phone also. At that point, I got it out and turned it on, and I got video. And everyone that was there that stayed, there was like 10 people that stayed. Everybody had an experience and caught something.
Wow. Did everybody catch the same image? Did everybody catch the same image, or was it a different image?
Some of us did. Some of us did, but they were looking at other parts of the sky.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I couldn't control that.
Right.
And there's like a projection, and it is not a lens flare. There's like a projection of white light, and then the shape of the craft.
Wow.
And I have this happen all the time now. That'll come out of the sky, look like a projection. And I have a friend in Italy who has software, and he can strip away the pixels, and you'll see the beings. And the one that looks the best shows a bunch of different beings sitting together around a table.
Oh, wow.
And the ones in the back look like the tall energy beings that I first encountered. And the ones in front, one looks like a gray, and some others look like, different shapes that I don't recognize.
Wow.
But they're all sitting down, and it looks like chairs, or turned around and looking back towards me in the picture. But I'm not kidding. I couldn't believe it. I have never posted it, except that it was posted on a Facebook account.
Wow.
The guy that did that for me, and they're out of Italy. It's one of the groups you can belong to, and he has a software. I never went and downloaded it. He was able to do that for me. So there's a lot going on with this, but other people have been able to use the technique and stand there, and we're all having a group. It's like having one of those encounters.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I know of one coming up here in the next week or so in Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
Where they're doing this, where they have the drum and everything. So it's the way of summoning. I can't believe summoning. Their craft. It's basically what I do.
Oh, I think we're losing.
Just go out there. I want to have an encounter, so to speak. That's what I do, and for something different.
I think we're losing you. I think we're losing you. You're losing the signal there.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Now you got back. It might be them over you right now. So that always happens. It's kind of strange how that happens.
It could be.
Yeah. Okay, Bill.
You
well,
never know.
Yeah, I know, but this is a great conversation. I love it. But it's like we started losing major signal towards you. You sound like you were underwater there for a second there.
Okay.
Yeah, it still kind of sounds like that. So, we'll go ahead and close out this show, but Bill, thank you for being on the show. And I know you have a book out there as well. And, what I'm going to do is, you're a co-author to, a book called The Movers, correct? It was called, The Fast Movers.
Yes, the fast movers.
Okay, and
evidence of high-speed UFOs and UAPs.
And you wrote this with Margie Kay and Wayne Lawrence as well?
Correct, and we're all three experiencers.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that when I first started seeing your images pop up on my feeds on Facebook, that there was that one image that you caught with the welding helmet. That really caught my attention because it's real close, and you had that what was it, that lens that was over in the welding helmets that they have. So it's like really deeply polarized, right? That's what those are. And then when I saw it, and then I started comparing it to a lot of other ones that I had, and me and you started talking in the past, and a couple of years ago, and I know you guys were probably going to do a documentary, right? Well, you guys were working on a documentary.
Yeah, we started that, and I've done several. We've done talk programs that were on YouTube, and I made a presentation to MUFON, actually.
Okay.
That was used. So I've done that several times, and but we haven't actually gone out and made a straight, dedicated video and set up.
Right.
I've basically just gone around and done talks and presentations for people and then take them outdoors and actually go do it, and then they go off and show people. That's been the way we've done this.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, you guys did doing a great job, and still with the book and everything. And also, I was going to bring this up. I forgot to bring it up, but when I sent you that picture yesterday on Instant Messenger of that craft, that I said it looks just like the one you have. And then I was like, I was trying to remember where it was caught, but now I remember it was caught. That photo, the one I just showed you, sent you, was in Kansas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In your area.
Well, yeah. The one that's over my house a lot that I see that looks like I call it the pizza dish.
Yeah.
That actually, other people have seen that in South America.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I can send you a link to that.
Sure.
The people that I communicate, that I'm a friend with down there, and the sightings he has are unbelievable. And he has one similar to that, and I'm sure it's the same type of craft.
Wow.
And I don't speak his language necessarily,
Right.
so it's hard to communicate.
Right.
But I believe he actually can remote view also,
Wow,
and has been aboard the craft.
Wow. So you guys are really
And,
connected that way, which is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of connection in this whole thing. That's another strange thing about this with my friend here in Wichita and then his friend. We've all been on the same craft.
Wow.
At that time in 2009, 2010 time frame.
Wow. And that's like another story, really, in reality, to get deep into that one. But we're going to go ahead and end this podcast today. And
Okay.
thank you for being on today's show. And thank you for giving us all your insights on everything that you're doing in your books. And what I'll do is I'll add links to follow you and to your YouTube and everything like that, so people can find you as well. So they can understand it and get your book, and then just kind of dive deep into that thought process of meditation, and just kind of getting in there.
Right. Yep, that's what I put out in my videos on YouTube, is that you need to experience to raise your consciousness, your frequency.
Exactly. That's exactly it. All right, Bill. Well, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yep, Donald, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
On your program.
And you're going to come back again. Believe me, we're going to get you back on.
Okay. There's more to talk about, I'm sure.
Yes, sir. Okay, have a good one.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. So welcome to the show. And all right, guys. Sorry about that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast. It was a great, amazing conversation with Mr. Bill Spcer. And, he gave a lot of insight, of what was happening to him in his life as a teenager and of course, growing up as an adult, and then, learning to do all the amazing things that he did with astral projection and connecting with these grays and different light beings as well. So, and that's why this podcast was called The Connection, because we wanted you to see and hear actually the connection that he had actually made and still is making today. All right. So if you guys want to catch up to this podcast again, play it back again, share it with a bunch of your friends. Find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it. We're out there. Castbox, Ask Alexa. You can play us on Amazon Music, everywhere. Apple Podcasts, any of your favorite ones. You'll see it. YouTube. We're out there also. So go check us out there. And don't forget, go to Patreon. You'll see a link on here for Patreon. Join for free, and you'll catch some special videos of me that you won't see anywhere else, but only on Patreon. All right. And I'll have like a lot of one-on-one conversations with you guys. There is a chat room in there, so you can chat with me if you'd like to do that. Just join for free there on Patreon. Look for Alien Strand Extras, and you'll see it there. All right. You can't miss it. You can't miss us, Alien Strand. We're always out there ready for you guys. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show as much as I did. It was amazing. I love it. We're going to bring you back on the show again. But until then, I hope you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening. And have yourselves a good night.
about CE5, an extraterrestrial contact, download my new book. Now on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Apple, and 14 other platforms. Book authored by Donald Ledesma. CE5, Frequencies of Contact.